Hello Internet and hello War the Visions fans, I'm Jackie Fox, and today I'm going to be trying something new and keeping it shorter than usual, but in order for that to work, it's really going to help if you've seen my recent tier list videos. So either if that's the elemental tier list, ranking the elements on a scale of 1 to 10, or the job VC tier list, or basically job tier list. I think that one's probably one of the more important ones, and this has been super popular, the unit tier list, where I look at the top 60 UR units in the game. Well, and Kamaral. He's an MR, but I feel like he definitely deserves a place in there because of his pin chunk for courage removal and fitting well with the strike team. But in this video, I'm just basically going to be talking about how the meta has changed with the introduction of the last two characters, because especially Joom has been a deal, and there's some obvious things, like of course Joom and Zoa are going to be good, but what I want to look at in this video is how other units have rose up on their coattails or perhaps fallen off because now they have a lot more competition. So, updating one of the lists that I showed off pretty early on in my unit tier list, let's look at guild battle usage and how that's changed between March and April. So, first of all, the biggest winners have been Joom, who's in the top 10 both on offense and defense now, and Oldoa, who is, I think, kind of borderline top 10 herself. From there, the biggest gain was definitely Astrius, because, greatsword teams have picked up a lot. We'll also see that with A2 picking up 6 slots, and now she is firmly the second place unit in both guild battle and both guild battle offense and defense. So first place is Helena in both, second place is A2 in both, and third place is Sephiroth in both. But also another big gain this week was Summer Glaciella, who's definitely been growing in power alongside the water teams. And also I see with her a lot of times a potential red mage greatsword synergy. And speaking of red mages and greatswords, we're going to talk about them a little bit later in this video, but let's look at the people who are falling off. And the person who lost the most is Bart, 100 cost free unit from a collaboration from a little while ago. He's really, really good against physical, but I'm guessing we're getting more magical threats or more threats that are kind of throwing him off his game. Either that or he's just a unit that a lot of people had, and now they're getting better stuff. He was a free slot filler, and now people are getting better units, maybe. I'm not really sure. Because he's good, and I don't necessarily see a reason why the new units would target him specifically. Also, I guess Bradley is looking even less effective. I mean, he was initially really good as a tank buster, but with all the layers of defense that Oldoa has, I think even he may be having some trouble getting in with her. But also Addison Ray and Dark Fina are falling off. These are some older magical-based units that might be getting countered by Joom and might be having some hard times running into a few of the newer compositions based around Greatsword, or maybe Greatsword Red Mage, or just water in general being able to counter them. And then Sodley, who only had a really tenuous place in the top 20, just fell off completely, so we can say goodbye to him entirely unless he comes back for next week. Then, looking at elements and job types, the big winner this week was Greatsword, which I'm willing to consider S tier now. It's going to be S tier up there alongside Red Mage, and as I mentioned earlier, Red Mage and Greatsword seem to have a really strong combo synergy team. I'm not necessarily sure that it's based around the vision cards, but I often see Joom, Summer Glaciella, Ferris, A2, maybe even Astrius sometimes, and all of these units together, maybe even and some of these are less good teams, but Miranda, there's a number of other red mages and stuff that kind of can rotate onto this mostly ice water team, and that's just really strong. That has driven both of their elements up. The new units have definitely revitalized both ice and water into being, water might even be be 8 out of 10 at this point. Ice is doing pretty good too. But really the thing that's definitely pulling the two of those up is their synergy together. It's not just how good they're doing individually, which is great, but they're also working really well together, and it's kind of a rising tide that's lifting both of their ships. And then finally, just to prove that not every winner is actually a winner, the most improved but still terrible award goes to Bo, which I'm willing to now consider C tier. This leaves Ninja Blade all by itself in D tier, and this is because Bo has recently got a couple good vision cards, including the one that they got this week. I think giving them an extra way to prevent AoE damage is a pretty neat bonus for archers, so I really think that this is good enough to improve their standing to being not the worst in the game anymore. As far as the ones who are losing, well, Strike's definitely having more trouble than it has in a while, but I still think it's A tier. I think it was probably at the very top of A, and maybe it's at the bottom of A now that it has counters, because no matter how you use Uldoa, especially if you use her on a magic team, because there's a lot of new espers that have high strike resistance that are also magic based, so having people like Shinryu and Greater Demon on your team while also having Uldoa as your tank, and you can really reduce strike damage by quite a lot. That kind of makes me say that Lightning has a little bit of trouble because they're just a little bit relying on Uldoa. I mean, not Uldoa, but Alaya as being a really powerful, DPS for their team, but Uldoa really counters Alaya quite well. If you have her built right, Alaya is definitely still like a tactical nuke to be disarmed, but Strategist Uldoa has the know-how to do it. Pierce, I'm going to demote from A tier. They were sitting up in S tier all by themselves, or at least alongside Red Mage. Red Mage, I'm not going to change. I feel like in some ways there's more competition for that slot, and Red Mage still looks kind of shaky. Like, they may fall out of S tier potentially as more good things show up, and maybe Pierce will return to S tier with Volke, who should be coming maybe even next week. Then they're going to have their own tank. One that I did want to mention for this, but ultimately there was absolutely no change for them, was Black Mage. They've both got their best composition recently with the addition of Uldoa, but they've also got probably their best counter with the addition of June the Spring Celestial, so I feel like that's basically a wash for them, and oof. And then Wind, I'm going to have to demote down to 6 out of 10, just because they're sitting across the elemental pie from what is currently the strongest tank in the game, and that's really causing them problems. In fact, this is what was pushing Pierce down. There aren't as many diverse Pierce teams that don't rely on some sort of a core of Wind, and Pierce is often the backbone of current Wind teams as well, so those are kind of going down a bit synergistically, but Pierce was also kind of a soft A tier to begin with, so it was, a soft S tier to begin with, so it was easy to drop it down into A. And even though Wind is in 6 out of 10, that's not super low, because Ice and Water are still only 7. It's still competitive. It just isn't one of the better sub-elements at the moment, the way it was a couple of weeks ago, while it was still like a Pierce and Dario heyday. That's kind of faded a bit. Hopefully that comes back with, at least for Pierce, with Volke. But as a 70 cost unlimited unit, we'll have to see what that ends up doing over time. And with that, I hope you now better understand what's been going on in War of the Visions and how stonks have changed over the last couple of weeks to the last month. Some of these changes are relatively big deals, and as a lot of people point out, Joom and kind of Uldoa herself, maybe to a lesser degree, are hammering out this kind of new power tier for WotV that it looks like new things are going to play into. But speaking of new stuff that's definitely going to shake things up, we already know that the Ashen King is coming in addition to Volke, but we're also going to be getting 2 new limited 90 cost and 100 cost units with the Final Fantasy Advent Children collaboration. So Final Fantasy VII is coming back with a brand new Cloud and a brand new Sephiroth, along with a brand new Tifa and Kadaj. Those are going to be light unit for Cloud, so looking definitely like light slash there. Tifa is going to be an ice, looks like strike for her. I mean, it's kind of easy to tell with these. Kadaj could be a little bit more open-ended, but he definitely looks like a slash unit here. And so does Sephiroth as well, although maybe there's some magic. I don't know. I feel like putting him in as fire definitely makes me feel like there's some magical explosions to be had, but he's got a big sword, so why not use it? Those guys are definitely going to shake things up. Everyone is expecting that Tifa is going to be free, but I can't read Japanese, so I can't necessarily confirm that. But she does have her own title card in the Advent Children slideshow that was showed off in the live stream, so I'm guessing that's what that was about. Another free Tifa. Also, at this point, this means like free strike team could be Tifa, and Edward, potentially, to get you wind and ice strike combination. Also, the only card we have announced at this moment looks like it's going to be maybe a Sephiroth card. Maybe Cloud, Kadaj. I mean, Cloud and Kadaj are on the cover. Maybe it's going to work for multiple of these, or maybe even have all of their job types, so it works for this entire collaboration. Not really sure. Curious to see what happens with that. But looks like a pretty cool card. It is being announced alongside Sephiroth. I feel like he should factor into that. I mean, should definitely play to like Sephiroth. And this scene from the movie was actually after Cloud defeats Sephiroth. That's why he's holding Kadaj. Kadaj was just Sephiroth and has been defeated and returned to his more natural form, I guess. So there you go. Those are the changes to the meta, and those are the things that are coming within the next month to shake things up via the JP side. Also worth mentioning, Veritas of the Earth should be coming within the next couple of weeks, and he's going to be acquirable through participating in the guild battle feature. Also, in addition to participation, which is really important here, you also want to be in a higher ranked guild if you can do that. I am actually both of the guilds I'm in have openings. We're in Ares and Master respectively. One is a lot more casual than the other, and I could definitely replace a few people because some of those casuals dipped out, and I haven't really had the time with everything going on to be able to go out and recruit. So hey, if you're hearing this right now and you're looking for maybe to rank up to at least Master in Guild with Veritas of the Earth coming, then go ahead and say something to me in the comments and I'll tell you what you need to know. See you in guild battle, I guess. And with all of that being said, remember to like and subscribe. You know how YouTube works, but maybe some of you are new to this platform. I don't know. Like and subscribe. There's also a link in the description. It's going to link to my books. It's going to link to all of my other stuff all over the internet. I basically make these videos as a way to say, hey, I'm a writer. I write fantasy and fiction and stuff that maybe you would be interested in as a Final Fantasy fan, even though it's not quite the same genre. But if you're into that, be sure to click that link, see what's up down there. And with all that being said, I'll see you in the next one.